Hi and welcome. My name is Ruben and I'm learning to play acoustic guitar. My long-term goal is to master the art of fingerstyle guitar, and my approach is something called deliberate practice. In this video I want to share with you a little bit of my progress so far, as well as 5 of the most important lessons that I've learned over the last 2 years in my deliberate guitar practice journey. But before we get into that, let's just take a quick look at what deliberate practice is. So I learned about deliberate practice a bit over 2 years ago when I read this book called Peak by Ericsson. Ericsson spent more than 3 decades of his professional life studying and making research into the area of expertise in a wide range of different fields. And he found that regardless of the field, be it chess, golf, memory training, athletics, learning a musical instrument, or any of the fields that he looked into, he found that the world's elite, they practice in a way that follow a similar set of principles. So those principles he identified and he organized them, and that's what he named deliberate practice. And from his work, Ericsson, he also concluded that reaching the top of any field and achieving mastery is truly about practice. So talent and innate ability is just a tiny fraction of it. It's only a starting point. The key message in Ericsson's book is that with the right sort of practice, with deliberate practice, each and every one of us can harness neuroplasticity and the great adaptability and potential of the human body and brain to keep improving dramatically at whatever we decide to get good at. And based on Ericsson's descriptions in Peak, deliberate practice can shortly be defined this way. Deliberate practice is structured, focused and goal-oriented practice in the proximal zone of development, informed and guided by how the best in the world in that specific field already made it to the top. So I struggled for several years with ineffective practice trying to learn fingerstyle guitar, and I found that no matter how many repetitions, no matter how many hours I put into it, my sound still kind of remained rough and uncoordinated. And I ended up believing that I was just limited to that was just how good I could get. But reading Peak and learning about deliberate practice truly redefined my idea of my own potential to improve and learn. And it made me reconnect with this desire and dream to really get good at playing in this style and learning to play beautifully and effortlessly. So on this YouTube channel, I am sharing my journey towards fingerstyle guitar mastery, and I will also be sharing the lessons that I learned along the way. Okay, so let's take a quick look at my progress so far. Alright, so as you can hear, it's not hopeless. It's not easy to play in this style. And despite the fact that I've really just been trying with ineffective, naive practice for several years, I've still managed to make my way through several of these fairly hard fingerstyle pieces, and I've learned to play them well enough for it to be fun and to keep me going at it. But let's now take a look at what it sounds like after 2 years of deliberate practice. watching these clips, I think I can certainly hear a significant overall improvement, and it definitely has more of that flow and fluency and connected sound to it that I'm going for. But please let me know in the comment section below what you think, and also feel free to share anything from your own guitar journey. I would be happy to hear about it. Anyways, I'm still just getting started and I have a lot of work ahead of me. My playing still suffers quite a lot from years of bad habits and tension I've built up, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of work to get the body and brain used to do something else than that. But I feel like I'm on my way and I'm definitely motivated to keep going at it. But let's now dive into the 5 lessons that I want to share in today's video. So the first lesson is to have a daily warm-up and technique practice with simple exercises. And this one might seem kind of obvious for some of you, but for me, for the first several years that I tried to learn fingerstyle guitar, I didn't do it. I simply wasn't aware of it. I just picked up the guitar and tried to learn some tunes. But now, having absorbed quite a lot of material from classical and fingerstyle and the solo flat picking guitar masters, I have discovered that this is an absolutely essential aspect of learning to play guitar if you want to learn to play well in any advanced style. So now I practice my technique with simple exercises for 30 to 45 minutes every day before I even start to work on a tune or play something from my repertoire. And the goal here is to always improve, maintain muscle memory on the very basics of your technique. So it's about honing your skill and always sharpening your tools. This has to be done very mindfully and with as much quality as possible. And what will happen is that it will gradually improve your idea of how it's supposed to feel like to play well, to play effortlessly. And that's what will allow you to continuously practice and play with more and more quality and keep improving. So this is an absolute key. So the second lesson is to keep it simple and don't try to solve too many problems at once. So this counts for the simple exercises that I just mentioned before, as well as when you're learning a tune. So we always want to learn bit by bit, and we always want to isolate problems that we're working on. We always want to isolate specific skills that we're working on. So it's about always being intentional about what we're working on and trying not to overwhelm our brain with too many things at once, because that's how the learning will happen the most effectively. So in my process, I've found that it does not have to be complicated. In fact, simple is better, but it takes a lot of focused and mindful work, and you need to know what you're doing. So lesson number 3 is to manage tension in the body. And this is another very important aspect of practicing and playing guitar that I wasn't aware of in my years of naive practice. But this is something all good guitar players and teachers stresses the importance of. So we always want to stay as relaxed as possible in our hands, fingers, arms and shoulders, our entire body when we practice and play. It's just vital to creating good tone, and it's vital to building good guitar technique. And the human body and brain also adapts the best when there is no tension. And this is a process because we all build up tension and we all create bad habits. And especially in the first years when everything is very difficult and a struggle. So most of us have bad habits that we need to break and need to be aware of. And relaxation is something that needs to be practiced, and tension management is just something we always have to be aware of, so that we can cultivate a technique that is as relaxed as possible. So lesson number 4 that I've learned in my 2 years of deliberate practice that I want to share today is to keep practicing and playing separate. And this is a very interesting topic that I've heard several master musicians discuss in various interviews and books. And roughly the theory is that when you're practicing with the intention of improving skill versus when you're just playing in more of a performance mode, you are using different parts of the brain. So when you're practicing, you are problem solving, you're being analytical, you're playing so slowly that you can watch every move that you make. You pay attention to details so that you can promote as much quality as possible to your skill. And that would be mainly left brain activity, which is known to be the more academic side of the brain. Just playing is more about being expressive and creative, and it's about letting go and trusting muscle memory, and it's just more about enjoying and feeling the music. So this would be more right brain activity, which is known to be the more creative and artistic side of the brain. And the point here is to simply be aware of this fact and always be intentional about your purpose when you're picking up the guitar. In other words, you want to get organized about the information you're pouring into your body and brain. And master musicians say that it's a good idea to not get too messy about the two when you're practicing and playing. And I find this to be very true and very useful. So that's lesson number 4. The last lesson I want to share today is to practice a good mindset. And this is something you also hear all master musicians talk about. And I think it's something we all struggle with to some extent. We all tend to be our own worst critics. We all tend to get in our own way and to be too hard on ourselves. And all of these ego issues, all this perfectionism and fear of mistakes really just get in our way and inhibits us from growing as guitar learners. So every day when we're picking up the guitar, we should be practicing a mindset of self-compassion, of trust, of acceptance of mistakes, and enjoyment, and just a balanced desire to improve and get better because it's fun and exciting to get better. And from this kind of mindset, learning and growth will certainly be promoted the most. And this is something I definitely have to be aware of because I really tend to fall into these inner game traps. So for me, this is a very important aspect of learning in my own guitar journey, and I think it's very important. So that's lesson number 5. Alright, so that's it for now. I hope some of this information was useful for you. And please let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions. I will definitely be making more videos on this topic of deliberate practice and guitar mastery, fingerstyle guitar mastery. So if you're interested in that, please stick around, and then I'll see you in the next video.